Great. Good evening and welcome to the Town of Douglas Conservation Commission meeting for Monday, June 26, 2023. Time is 7:04 PM. First item on the agenda is mail and orders to be signed. We can hold those. DEP email regarding Potter Road complaint. I did issue an enforcement order last Saturday. Steve, do you want to just give a brief overview? And then I see we have our consultant estimate.
Yep, there was I think it was generated from the DEP. There was a complaint that went to the DEP on work clearing of within the riverfront.
I'm here.
Okay.
Clearing of the riverfront and water withdrawal from.
Can I just, I'll do roll call, please. Mike?
Mike Greco here.
Jim Ford. Mark Muncham here.
Katie Dudley here.
Tracy Sharkey, aye. And I also like to welcome our newest member to the commission, Jim. Thank you very much for volunteering.
Your name,
Yeah,
Jim?
so the town received an email complaint that generated through the DEP. They received a complaint regarding water withdrawal and some activity at 17 Potter Road. DEP with their aerials and stuff had some concerns about it. I think they suggested filing an enforcement order. So that email was, I think originally was sent, it was hand-delivered to the owner, and then it was followed up by an enforcement order by the town, which was delivered last weekend. And so that's about as much has taken place. There was a corresponding, I think, just to clarify that there was the order, and maybe you can clarify it today, that the enforcement order had a toggle that they should file a notice of intent. And so there's an email from today from the DEP that they disagree with that. Maybe you can
Yes.
just do a
So, yeah,
restoration
that was inadvertently checked.
Right.
So when I spoke directly with DEP, they suggested to not entertain any notice of intent, that it has to be a restoration plan at this point. So no permittable activity needs to be applied for. So it'll be a restoration plan only. So the commission should accept only a plan for restoration at this time, not the option of an NOI filing. And then we've got an estimate from our peer reviewer to review. So we can take a look at that. There's stuff out here. I'm not sure. Will we be assessing penalties on this for violations, and should those violations be equal to what the board is spending for, remedying it? So it's 20, Art Allen had provided it to us. $2,350. So we're almost certain. Division of Fisheries and Wildlife is also issuing an enforcement order as well. It's a priority habitat, the entire disturbed area, and DEP may seek their own enforcement as well. So our violation enforcement order was just to stop any work so that everybody could gather what they need for information. So the file review, preliminary site evaluation, on-site evaluation of restoration work, up to 3 reports. So I would more so, I think, hold on this estimate until we get a plan.
Okay.
Because if they're hiring their own consultant, which I believe this requires them to hire their own consultant to prepare the restoration plan and submit it to the commission. And then upon that submittal, because the ball's already kind of rolling.
Yeah, I don't know, they might be here tonight, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, all right, 1 second. So I don't know if the board wants to take a vote on this proposal just yet. And I will hand off to name and address.
Jessica Bankston, 11 Potter Road, but 17 Potter Road is also my property.
Okay, all right, so you've got the enforcement order.
I do.
And then a bunch of other people probably sent you something.
I have not gotten much.
Okay, all right,
I've
so,
gotten an email from Steve Zisk, who handed it to me from the
Yep.
DEP. I contacted Jen Kuchar. And she informed me of the meeting tonight, and then I was served the cease and desist on Saturday.
okay,
And that's all I've received for contacts.
okay. Divisions of Fishery and Wildlife did send us a notification, so there is a priority habitat overlay
Okay.
on the property, on the entire, where it's disturbed. So I'm not sure what the species is, but they'll probably be telling you what you'd need to do. So moving forward, what is your process going to be?
So just for clarification, there is no notice of intent that needs to be filed?
Correct.
Okay. So we have an aerial footage shot that we had taken of our current property, and what we had planned to reinstate, because our plan was to clear the dead trees and then to reinstate new trees that are native fruit trees and flowers, shrubs and stuff. So I do have that, and I do have a little write-up to go along with that. But I'm just waiting for more information, I guess, to see who's expecting what and where to go.
Okay. This board, before we act on any violation fines, so we'll want to see what you submit in response to that enforcement order. So it's going to be a full-blown restoration plan.
Okay.
So the restoration plan will have to be surveyed, it will have to be engineered
Okay.
professionally.
Okay.
I believe the wording from the Wetlands Protection Act is a qualified professional.
Yep.
Do you have that already?
I do not have that
Oh, okay.
already. We were just coming to get information.
Okay, all right. Yeah,
We had no clue that we weren't allowed to do any of this, so this is all new to us.
okay, okay. I appreciate you guys coming.
Yeah.
Like, so for us, we're not working at water level or embankment level. Our land is 15 feet elevated above that, so we thought we were okay to clear the trees.
Yeah, we're not sure of any, we know that you're within 200-foot riverfront area, and we know that is a perennial stream. So your whole entire property, I think, is within the 200.
Okay.
So that is a jurisdictional area in the Wetlands Protection Act.
Okay.
So you'd have to, I would engage with a professional to satisfy the requirements for the restoration plan.
All right.
Sir, did you have something in the back? Name and address, please.
Stan Stachura, I'm a bird dad, I live in Millbury, Mass. Part of this restoration should be looked at National Grid too. They were down there for 3 years cutting all the dead trees out of there. It shouldn't all fall on just these two. National Grid's been taking all the dead trees out of there. The gypsy moss, the longhorn beetles, a lot of dead area. They did do their portion, but if they're gonna be responsible, part of that, National Grid should be held responsible too.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened. So that's why we're here.
Like the whole-
And the history, the history, so, if there's evidence and we're pretty much looking for a restoration plan to satisfy
That's
the
fine. Would they do
disturbance.
something like that? Would they be involved in something like that?
I don't know.
Because
If there was dead or dying trees, they would typically, if it was not an emergency, they would come, if they're clearing their infrastructure.
they plan on going back and doing the other side of the road, which is all wetland.
Okay,
So, I mean, if that's the case, that's not on these two, that's on National Grid.
right, yep. Yeah, we're pretty lenient on dead or dying trees and infested trees,
Okay.
but not
Yes, that's fine.
full clear cutting.
They were all dead. Every single
Yeah.
tree we took was
It's
dead.
a danger to their kids in the yard.
Yeah.
So, yep, so this is going to be when you submit your restoration plan, you're going to have your narrative, and you're going to have all the information that, we can make a determination or justification for the activity. But we're just looking on the surface right now.
That's fine. No,
So we're not,
wanted everybody to see the whole picture, that it wasn't just them doing some of the clearing, it was,
Yep.
a lot of that.
We will find the whole picture
No, I'm sure.
by the end. We will. So I appreciate that. Appreciate you guys coming in tonight, too. So, Board, what do we want to do with the proposal?
I'm unclear because of what you just said, where you said maybe we should hold off on it until we hear more from Mass DEP about what their process
Okay.
is going to be.
Yeah, because the owners are here, I don't think that they're going to be continuing any illegal activity where we need to, pounce on the situation. I think sometimes there is a need for the outside consultant to do the work, but I think we wait for the plan. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, that way, you can- if we bring Art in, you got a clearer picture of what, actually, you might want to add to that depending on, not sure, or subtract from it, or.
Right, so I think we,
Information comes in. Yeah,
so-
I think it's due the next meeting.
yeah, so this is, it's a fast requirement. Fast acting, fast moving. So that's what I would suggest, is wait until we have something in front of us.
For the next meeting.
Yeah.
But if this is supposed to be fast-moving,
don't
shouldn't
know.
the DEP be in touch with the landowner about what they want in a restoration plan?
They said that they're
They're
unable,
blind as to what.
well, that's why it's a qualified professional that has experience with restoration plans. Mark was on the board when, remember that woman had cleared the marsh area? And then there was a restoration plan prepared? Was that McGuire did the plan?
Maple, yeah, it was.
Yeah, Maple Street. So that's what we're looking for. So there is a generalized requirement of what is, needs to be on that plan. DEP is very busy, so I did request their assistance, and they,
Yeah, but just
Said-
to establish a restoration plan, someone has to establish what was actually done. And so there's going to have to be some research done as to their, particular question about what trees were dead when they started and, what the existing grades were. I see boulders down there that look like they were placed. Is that part of the restoration to remove them? We need to have a better picture, I think.
Assessment, yeah.
well, what's work's done is done, so we don't know historically, but I think we should give them an opportunity to have their professional say, there's boulders here, they were not here on the aerial photo 3 years ago. So I think we need to give them the opportunity, and then we critique it or adjust it. And we've got a lot of information, DEP has a lot of information, so, and we're doing a site walk, and so I think procedurally, we move forward that way.
Okay.
And then, once there's a review plan to be had, then we can send it. Katie Grace, any comments or questions?
Yeah, absolutely. First, is my audio? Not great. Okay,
Audio is
fantastic.
not great.
Two, my actual question is there a way to expedite or ensure that this process happens in a timely manner? Because I recall when we did a similar issue with Maple Street, took a very long time for us to get the restoration plan. Is there a way to enforce us getting a restoration plan, say, by the next meeting?
So the restoration plan is due by the July 17th, so 30 days. They've been given 30 days to,
It's in the enforcement, she doesn't know that.
oh, it's in the enforcement order that was issued.
So do we need to wait for DEP to reach out to me for something, or is it just?
No.
Get someone to come in and develop a plan for us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so Katie Grace, did you hear me? So the enforcement order has the date of 30 days from the notice of the enforcement order.
Okay, so then what happens if we don't receive a plan in that time frame?
I'd have to double check on fines, assessed fines, I'm not sure. Steve?
Okay,
I would have them, obviously, if they're consultant or something, if they need more time, or if they give an update, or if they don't have a final plan now, they would come back and at least, communicate with the commission where they
Yeah.
stand for.
Yeah, and they are present here, so I think that,
right, and that's obviously much appreciated. That makes me feel a lot better as compared to other situations where we've lacked engagement. So I'm very happy that we have them here in the meeting. I just, like I said, I wanted to make sure that we as a board knew what recourse we would have in the event that we don't get a plan or an update by the next meeting.
And it just maybe, so if they hire someone, that they're aware that there's natural heritage issues. That's part of, the restoration plan.
well, yeah, that would be one of the layers to check,
Yeah.
that the consultant should check. So it's Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, so there is a layer, so if your consultant, starts, they have to be aware of that also. So another jurisdictional layer of protection. Okay, board. Do you have any other questions for us? Steve's available if you need anything, but we gotta get rolling on this. Okay, I appreciate you guys coming in, though.
So when is the next meeting that we have to have it? July 17th, that's the next meeting. Okay.
Yes. Oh, it's not the next meeting, is it?
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the 17th? Yeah, so that'll be the next meeting.
17th.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And Steve's available, so if you
And
need,
Jen, in case
Yeah.
I'm not here. Yeah.
yeah, he's nights and weekends, but weekends work out, too. Okay,
Sure.
all right, okay.
Less than a month. What if they, like, someone doesn't do their part and get the plan done to them?
We need communication,
Okay.
so, and an update. But
No, I'm not saying-
an engagement letter would be useful. And I know you guys have your plan, your sketch of what you want, so you're already starting the ball rolling.
So could we bring that into conservation and just have someone take a look at it, or?
No.
No.
No? So we
No.
just need a professional.
You give it to your consultant, and they'll incorporate it into the plan. So it's going to be calculations of
Yeah.
riverfront area disturbance versus the lot versus when it was,
So
subdivided.
Is riverfront area that considered, like, is that different from buffer zone? Or it is?
Yes. Yep.
So-
yeah.
So riverfront area is a riverfront area. It's not a buffer.
So how close is that to the river? Because we've stayed probably, 30, 40 feet off the river.
It's 200 feet from the bank.
But that's the buffer.
Yeah, it's a riverfront area. It's not buffer. It's more serious than a buffer.
So,
For activity, you have to meet a threshold, and there's an alternatives analysis, and it's an entire section in the Wetlands Protection Act for riverfront area. So that's available online at DEP's website.
yeah, that's all really confusing to someone that doesn't know the wording.
Well, that's why I'm saying,
Yeah.
you're a professional, you're a qualified professional, and I'm not naming any specific one,
Yeah.
but they would know. They would prepare the plan for you
Okay.
and communicate on what the game plan would be
Yeah.
and what you're allowed to do.
Yeah. All right.
So, okay? All right, thank you. Okay, moving on. Letter Whiten Reservoir Watershed. Steve, you want to give me, is anyone here on behalf of this letter?
Attorney Winter's here.
Who is?
Attorney Winter.
Oh. So I can't see anything for some reason. Attorney Winter?
I am here. Good evening, everyone. Hello, Madam
Hi,
Chair.
good evening. We have this correspondence for the Whiten Reservoir Watershed District.
Yes, I have seen it, and as noted in that letter, I've had many discussions with council on this. Would it be helpful, are you all very familiar with this? Would it be helpful if I just sort of gave you a little recap of?
Yeah, recap would be wonderful.
In the, shortest form here, council appealed your order of conditions to the DEP. We received a copy of that some time ago. His main issue on appeal concerned correspondence from National Heritage, from NESHAP. And so he communicated back to me to get some clarification on how to interpret your order of conditions. And Mr. Zisk and I had some exchange about, the history of it and so on and so forth. And in a nutshell, it comes down to something very simple. So this doesn't have to do with substantive requirements. It has to do with the technicality, and that's that your order of conditions, in part, has, as you always do, a few pages at the end for special conditions, and one of those is condition 2, and it has 2A, B, C, D, and E. Well, there is no E, and so A, B, C, and D identify pieces of correspondence that you received during the public hearing. E, which is blank, presumably would have been an additional piece of correspondence. So what Attorney Henchy was asking me is, well, what is E? And we all know that E was intended, or I believe we all know that E was intended to be a reference to a letter from Natural Heritage dated, let's see, there were two. One was January 1st, 2022, and the second one was October 3rd, 2022. And we believe it was meant to be a reference to that October 3rd, 2022 correspondence, but it's blank. And so it doesn't actually say anything. And so Attorney Henchy, his whole basis of appealing was because he doesn't know what that E is supposed to be or if it means nothing. And so he doesn't have an issue with the Conservation Commission. He has a dispute with Natural Heritage as to whether or not and to what extent they're trying to regulate the approved project. And so he and I had several conversations over the past, several months to try to resolve this and plot a path forward for his client to address whatever outstanding issues there are with Natural Heritage. And so that's all led to this letter that you have in front of you. And his position is that the October 3rd, 2022 letter is not part of your order of conditions. It's not listed in there. That's his position. And so he doesn't think he really needs his appeal to the DEP anymore because that's the part he was challenging. Since it's not identified in your order of conditions, unless we dispute this, then he's content to dismiss his appeal and just pursue the project. And to the extent Natural Heritage has any disagreement or dispute, he will pursue it with them directly. So they have commented on this project. He's in touch with them. They have corresponded. So it's not as though he's going to ignore them. It's that he's just going to deal with them directly. And so that's what he's asking in his letter, or sort of, I guess he's not asking, he is stating that that is his intention. And so I asked that you take this up tonight so that I could discuss it with you and see if we have a different view of this, if we dispute his premise, if we disagree with his interpretation, or any other reason why I might want to get back to him and say not so fast. And so it really just comes down to that blank E on your order of conditions and whether or not we have a different view of that. And if we have any issue with him just dealing directly with NESHAP going forward. And another way to state that is we're kind of in the middle here. So normally we get those comments from Natural Heritage and we may or may not adopt them and include them in an order of conditions. In this case, that letter wasn't referenced, although maybe it was intended to be. And so the question is, are we going to be kind of in the middle of this, or is the applicant and Natural Heritage going to resolve this between the two of them? And so that's what's before you tonight. Do we have a position on this? What direction do we want it to go in? Do we disagree, agree, or have no position on Attorney Hensch's letter, or something else entirely? So that's the synopsis. That's why we're here, and I'm happy to hear your thoughts and comments on this.
Okay, thank you very much, Attorney Weiner. So we reviewed the language, I don't even know how long ago it was. And even though the letter wasn't included, we still have a catch-all phrase in our order of conditions. And it is applicable to any other departments. So we already had discussed this. Let me just take a peek where it is. Board, do you remember?
The DEP section.
Yeah, I thought so. Is it 1 or 2?
You're talking about in the general conditions, right?
Yes.
The standard. Yep. No,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so this order does not relieve the permittee or any other person of the necessity of complying with all other applicable federal, state, or local statutes, ordinances, bylaws, or regulations. So when this came up last, we all were in agreement, yes, the letter did not make it into the list of documents, but that is covering the requirement for them to meet any other jurisdictional entities.
Okay.
And that's what I had decided when we were discussing this. I read that exact section. And so I was surprised when it was appealed due to that. So they will need to meet everything, but we really don't monitor. We did have the one priority habitat that they had a separate set. Natural Heritage had their own separate set issued the letter of the requirements, when they can do construction, what the activity was, and that was a separate thing for the applicant to take care of.
Right, and as I understand Attorney Hensch's position, he intends to deal with Natural Heritage directly, and so the issue before us is not whether or not he's going to comply or has complied or will comply. It's just whether or not we're going to step in and monitor his compliance with their agency's conditions, and sort of liaison in that regard. Or is Attorney Hensch, his client, and Natural Heritage going to deal with that on their own as a sort of separate, if you will, state requirement that he's going to either meet or not meet? And if he doesn't, I'm sure they'll have something to say about it.
Right, my opinion would be that it is a separate enforcement or inspection path in addition to ours. So there's going to be requirements from Natural Heritage on the time of year, the materials used, the inspection requirements, when you're going to call the contact person. So we can have that if they want to supply that to us, but someone's already requiring them to do that section of the jurisdictional activity. So my opinion, I think we can take it to a vote, is that our understanding is they will comply with any and all regulations outside of our order of conditions, as read out loud.
And for what it's worth, NESHAP's correspondence is directed to the commission, but also to the applicant. Because of course the applicant, separately and apart from their notice of intent, filed for MISA review through them as well. And so these directives or orders or conditions or instructions were not solely passed on to us. They were given directly to the applicant as well.
Yep, and that
They
was the
stand on their
proper.
own feet.
Yep,
Another way to do it.
I would agree. Katie, Grace, any questions?
I have none. The issue as explained by the chair was straightforward.
We're having a little trouble with your audio. I don't know if it's the storm coming.
I will try again. I have no comment. The issue, as explained by the chair, was straightforward to me.
Okay, thank you. Mike? Jim? Mark?
I have no problem with what you said. I would agree.
Okay. I think we're totally covered on,
We don't need to include it or put it in.
yeah, okay. So I'll entertain a motion. Attorney, did you want to tell us what you would like our motion to be to satisfy the request?
So I understand the sense of the board, sense of the commission, and so the motion that I would ask for is that you authorize and instruct me to convey that by email or written correspondence to Attorney Henchy and memorialize the commission's position.
Do I hear some?
So moved.
Motion made by Mark,
Second.
seconded by Mike. All those in favor?
Mike Greco, aye.
Did you say your name?
Jim. Ford.
Aye.
Mark Mongemi.
KT Dudley, aye.
Okay, thank you very much. You got that right?
Yeah.
More
So
or less.
what's that mean for us, though? We're out of the middle?
Out of the
Yes, we're Out of the middle.
We're out of the middle?
A little painful. Okay, Board of Selectmen member appointment. We already went over that. And we won't have to do roll call if everyone's present. But we do have one member. So we're still doing hybrid meetings. So again, thank you for volunteering.
Thank you.
Meeting minutes. Mike, did you have a chance to review those? April 10th?
I think this is the first time we've seen those.
Okay.
I don't recall them. I haven't looked at them yet.
Okay, we will hold those till July 17th. Updates, any updates on the 3 projects?
Well, I think the Keven property, I still haven't had it, haven't talked to them about
they approved.
The owner approved the thing, but I gotta talk to the DCR superintendent about getting a material list.
Okay,
Art Allen's here for the first 2, CRG and Whiting's Reservoir, solar.
Art, did you want to give us any update on either one of those projects?
Sure. Art Allen from Ecotech, consultant for the commission. As you know, I've been monitoring the Gilboa Street, Cubes of Gilboa construction project on behalf of the commission. It's been going generally well. Just, pretty straightforward housekeeping issues that's been brought up by their SWIP inspectors and by me, and then they've been addressing those issues. As of my last inspection on June 23rd of last week, they had there had been no significant releases or impacts to resource areas. They've been doing a pretty good job keeping it together. So that project, obviously since the 23rd, we've had several pretty significant rain events. I expect to get reports from their SWIP inspectors in the next day or two, and then I'll follow up if there's any significant issues. But they've they've been behaving pretty well out there recently at the Gilboa Street project. That's
Good
my
to hear.
summary. of that.
Good to hear. Very good. Then 45 Oak Street.
45 Oak Street, I was also out there last week on the 23rd of June. They have opened the site, which I think the board was aware of. They have their construction entrance stabilized. They have the lower stormwater basin in with the outer slopes partially vegetated. The outlet control structure has been installed. They've been working their way up the hill on the access road. They have their roadside swales installed, check dams. It's not all stabilized, or it wasn't all stabilized as of last week, but they're working on it. I spoke to the contractors at that point. And also there's been inspections through Haley and Ward on behalf of the planning board. The engineering side has been inspected, and Haley and Ward brought up some details on the construction, you know, in terms of the basin construction, roadway construction. They asked for some additional information, and there was also runoff on the 19th of June that was documented and sent to me through I believe the town planner, showing some turbid water at the construction entrance on Oak Street. It appeared that water probably just washed out of the construction entrance stone. And then there was some correspondence from Jeff Murphy, the project engineer at Bills and Thomas, and he had some thoughts on that and may have some additional comments on the Haley and Ward recommendations. And I know Jeff is here tonight. We had spoken through email, and I suggested he make an appearance tonight to address the runoff and anything else he'd like to discuss regarding the Haley Ward comments on stormwater. So unless there's any specific questions from me from the board, I'd turn it over to Jeff Murphy.
Okay, thank you very much, Art. Board, any questions for Art on his findings? Okay. Jeff, how you doing?
Hi, good evening, members of the commission. Jeff Murphy here, civil engineer with Beals and Thomas on the project. As Art mentioned, received some of the comments in the Haley Ward report regarding the runoff observed at the site entrance. I was able to do some observations of the site over the weekend on Saturday morning while it was raining to observe the drainage patterns along that section of Oak Street. If I could be allowed to maybe share those.
Sure, absolutely. And I understand this site inspection memo was just sent on June 23rd. So.
Correct, it was
Yeah.
sent on Friday.
Yeah.
And again, wanted to be responsive and make sure that
Thank
we were looking into this issue. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So the photo that Art was referring to that was submitted here was, I believe, taken most likely last weekend when we had some rain. I think we had a little over an inch of rain on the last Saturday. So my kind of thoughts on this are, I think that what we're seeing here for the ponding is likely the result of a few different things. First, there is a section of Oak Street, approximately 200 feet or so to the north of our site entrance that does slope down, and the road is crowned in the middle, so the water is shed off to either side. So I sketched in what I'm estimating to be the tributary drainage area from the street. And before the site entrance was installed, the grades along this section were actually higher. So my thought is when the grade was cut down to install the site entrance, it no longer was acting as a curb line that was previously sending the water along past our site entrance, which kind of allowed it to accumulate in the stone that's adjacent to the pavement. So I think that's one contributing feature. You can kind of see here the water is coming from this direction, and I observed a similar drainage pattern on Saturday when I was out there. But that being said, there could also be some water that's coming from our site and accumulating in the stone, which is also kind of hitting this, edge of pavement as kind of a backstop. And its relief point is at the southerly end of our apron here, where it continues along the edge of the road to a roadside swale there. So again, the drainage patterns that I observed over the weekend, I took a few photos kind of looking south along Oak Street towards our site. You can see the water is collecting along that would be the easterly side of Oak Street. And since that photo was taken, I believe it was the building commissioner asked that a temporary paved apron be installed because the edge of the road had been cracking, so they wanted to have that installed. Again, the water seems to be taking a similar path through here, and I'm imagining that if it accumulates enough, it will still continue to exit through here. So we'll certainly be monitoring that. And the other thing I wanted to just mention was, so there was another photo included in the Haley Ward report. So this was number 12. Number 13 shows a photo of the house across the street, which is located at 50 Oak Street, and it's saying sediment left from rains. So looking at the drainage patterns along Oak Street, given that the road is crowned, I did not observe any indications that would show that water from our side of the street is actually making it to the other side of the street. So I was able to take some photos of water flowing along the western side of Oak Street from that half of the road that's then flowing along the driveway at 50 Oak. So you can see the spot where the water is breaking free of the gutter line of the curb, causing that washout that we observed, similar to the photo that was included in Haley Ward's report. So at this point in time, it seems as though that is not related to our site entrance. And I even went back to a site photo I took in 2020, which shows when this driveway was first put in, and it shows almost an identical washout occurring on this driveway, which is likely why they put that coarse gravel along the shoulder to prevent any sort of erosion. So that being said, we're certainly looking into the issue and want to make sure that we're not causing any problems at the street, and more than willing to continue to work with the town to take a look at this area, both during construction, where this temporary pad is going to be in place, and then post-construction. The town, at the time of permitting, had requested that we put in a permanent paved apron, which again could still be an option. And one thing I'm thinking of as well is certainly considering that they curb this section of road approaching the driveway to try to maintain that gutter flow so that the street flows kind of stay separate from our site entrance. So I don't know if there's any other questions that the commission has at this point.
Thank you very much. Katie Grace, any comments or questions?
No, I don't know at this time.
Okay. Commission? Anything?
No.
Anything? Steve?
Nope.
Thank you very much for the speedy response to those issues and the explanation, and for coming in tonight. I think we're all set.
All right, thank you. We'll continue to monitor this issue going forward, and be willing to address as needed.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. Through the chair,
Yes?
I know I have a comments on the Shore Road project. I don't know if you'd consider taking that next out of order, if I should wait for that to come up in the schedule. If you need me for that, it's up to you.
Okay, yeah, let's skip down to 6 briefly. 143 Shore Road, work within the buffer zone. Take it away, Art.
Yeah, again, Art Allen from Ecotech. I was asked to look at the work along Shore Road, the recent drainage swale work that was done on Shore Road, and I submitted a report. And I could pull, if I could, I could see if I could pull that up and share that with the commission.
We have your memorandum from June 20th, or June 16th dated.
Okay, you have that?
Yeah, okay. So I just read the last sentence. That was what I was afraid of.
Yeah, so essentially that swale, it goes from one cross culvert to another. Appears that there was some, obviously there was some drainage there historically along Shore Road, but it's clearly been, recently excavated, deepened, and it's connected to the wetland, adjacent to Shore Road. So at this point, basically it's functioning as a conveyance for that wetland, basically as an intermittent stream conveyance to the culverts. And so technically that roadside swale is a resource area. It is an intermittent stream, and technically they should have had, an order of conditions to work in there, which I believe they did not. But I don't know the history. I was just asked to comment on, on the work that was done. So
Thank you, I appreciate that. Steve?
No,
No?
nothing. I mean,
Okay.
I don't, I'm assuming, I'm not sure if Jen sent this off to the natives.
The owners, okay.
So I'm not sure if I don't see him here tonight, so.
Yeah, okay. Board? Questions, comments?
No.
So the,
Briefly, this is Art Allen's review on the work that was done most recently to, I guess, quote unquote, clean out the swale along the side. This is not the culvert.
correct.
right.
It's on the Rhode Island border.
Okay, yeah, no, I recall the meeting and the images from this discussion. I just wanted to make sure that clarification that was the review in question.
Yes.
What is the town highway department's methodology for their work when they have to do work on the sides of roads and swales?
They usually come in, they come in with, John typically comes in with area culverts replacements and culverts that they're gonna be doing. He comes in for the request for determination for that maintenance. And typically, even though they may be exempt over that. So I usually list the ones he's doing, something paving too. And it usually gives an update with the commission.
MBMPs and the swale, I mean the
I don't-
waddles and notification.
You just said that they are exempt from that.
I think, I'm not sure, they might be under, is DEP exempt under the Wetlands Protection Act, under 53E subsection E of maintenance of drainage?
It's exempt if it's strictly stormwater, but in this case,
Yeah.
that swale is draining a wetland.
Yeah.
So
It's a,
that would change the circumstance.
But answer your question.
this is not country drainage. This is draining the wetland. It's conveying the water out of the wetland.
Right, I'm just thinking out loud, I mean, a lot of times ditches along the sides of roads become wet and grow plant materials that can be considered to be wetlands, vegetation, and therefore maybe become jurisdictional areas, but they're still also needing maintenance because they're roadways, they're next to roadways. So I'm just trying to
Right.
understand
Yeah,
what happens.
if I can clarify, even if those roadside swales grow wetland vegetation, they are still not regulated unless they are connected to draining out of a wetland.
Okay, so that's the
So
difference
if it's
here, is it comes out of a wetland.
Strictly carrying stormwater, it's not regulated.
Okay, thank you.
And also, I know Sutton has drainage swales in their local bylaw as jurisdictional. But they define them, and this is, I think this is a little bit different. So,
You want them to attend the next, see if they can attend the
fine.
next
Yes.
meeting?
We do.
To give them,
Yes.
send them the memorandum
yep.
and ask them to see if they can attend and talk to the commission.
Yep. Katie Grace, are you okay with that?
Yes, I think that's a very wise way forward.
Okay, so you're understanding that this is, sorry, I'm getting a little echo from you. Oh, okay, good. So you're understanding that this is essentially become an intermittent stream in between the bordering vegetated wetland?
Correct, and therefore the work there is jurisdictional, and I understand Mark's point as well in the discussion of what does the town highway department do, but I think they would come to us. I don't think a lot of the swales that the town maintains are considered a wetland, because I don't think many of them are connected or get maintained. I mean, example, like the swamps that are next to Southwest Main Street down the street from my house, the town doesn't go in and clean those wetlands out. I mean, it's just a wetland that's directly next to the street.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, please send the correspondence and have the, request their appearance at the next meeting.
Okay.
And to cease any work. If they're still continuing to do work,
Do we need to issue a cease and desist? It seemed like it.
yeah,
They're done.
okay. So I would request,
But we don't know that for sure, so
Okay,
I would
good.
issue a cease and desist.
You want to send a one of the informal violations
informal violation.
and have them attend? Okay.
I mean, I'm this close to having an enforcement order, just working through what we have. And there's also plans of that area that we have on file from previous filings, right?
Well, from across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would request that, but I think that there's enough people that if their mini excavator shows up again, then somebody's, gonna see, so, especially in the summertime. Okay. Yeah, informal. Okay, thank you, Art.
Thank you, have a good night.
Thank you, you also. Appreciate it. Okay, let's get back to number 4, review discussion culvert replacement, 115 Shore Road. Who's here on behalf of this discussion? Okay, do you want to give us an update, or do you want our council to? Number 4. No? Oh, there you are, you moved. Okay. Attorney Winter?
Good evening again.
Hello.
May I ask, do you have the owner or the owner's attorney with you there at the meeting room?
We have the owners, the Millers are here.
Millers are here, okay. So let me give a quick update from my perspective, which is just on the legal side. side, not on any of the engineering review or construction details. But when we all last met, when I last attended your meeting, we had negotiated an MOU. Douglas Properties LLC had executed that. It had been circulated by and between counsel, Henry Lane for Douglas Properties, myself for the town, and counsel for the Millers. In the meantime, while that draft was going around, or it wasn't really a draft at that point, it was final, I understand the Millers pursued permitting and approval of their drawings for the work. And that was all contingent upon the execution of this agreement. As we are here tonight, I still have not seen an executed copy of that agreement. I think we had a couple wires crossed along the way, which I don't know the reasons therefore, but at any rate, it ended up with us not having a signed agreement for tonight. And my recollection is that the board, the committee, wanted that in place because that was really what established the rules of engagement here, who's going to do what and what the arrangement really was. And so everything kind of flowed from that document. And so we were holding things up, waiting for that to get finalized and signed. It still has. So the final was signed by Douglas Properties. We were going to sign it last. We wanted everyone's commitment before I brought it back to you for endorsement. And so we don't have that. I have exchanged emails with counsel for the Millers, but for whatever reason, we just haven't gotten a copy of that agreement signed back. And so the Millers are there tonight, I guess, so perhaps you could ask them to address that and they could let us know kind of where it's at. I have provided them copies on more than one occasion, and so I think they have it. And so we're just waiting on that back. But that's my part of it. I don't have any comments on the plan approval or review or what's going on on site. My limited understanding is that those things are kind of ready to go, and we're just waiting on this MOU. I'll let Jeff Walsh speak to some of those other things, and I won't address them. But from my perspective, I'm ready. I just need the signed MOU to present to you. It hasn't changed, with the exception of one word. I guess the materials for the pipe were changed. So we just made one word change in the document to reflect that. But aside from that, it's the same as it has been for, months now. And so that's all we need. So I'd be looking forward to an update on that front.
Okay.
And that's my update.
Okay, thank you very much, Attorney Witter. Mrs. Miller, do you have that document signed for submittal tonight?
Okay, we submitted a document.
Yes.
All right, now there was a document floating around that we were going to sign, which we did not have to do any plans whatsoever.
Uh-huh.
And the pipe would be installed.
The stipulation and agreement of the parties was not prepared or approved by the commission. So this is the document that we need in order to proceed with the work, memorandum of agreement of the parties.
Right, and that says we don't need plans and we don't need
We'll issue an emergency order for the activity without a plan.
change, because right now we did plans. The plans are very well thought out and done, and the board approved it. We needed approval from Douglas Property because the majority of the pipe is on their property, and we can't trespass on somebody else's property to put the pipe in. So the key thing was to get an approval from them. And that was just taking the old pipe in, out, and putting the new pipe in. Then the plans came into effect. This took over a year. And a simplified document was signed by both parties stating that we'll put him in according to the plans, hire the contractor.
So do you
So,
have this,
that's going-
is this signed, do you have this signed so that you can proceed with the work
I
tonight?
gave what was signed, don't you?
No, this is the document prepared by our town council that needs to be submitted to proceed with the work. The document that's been submitted, I don't know where.
Document there says a concrete pipe. Concrete pipe isn't going in.
Okay, that's fine. So it's HD,
Because we're hiring
PE pipe.
Ross Lemansky, he's more than qualified to put this pipe in. He's going to be doing the one that's going to be doing all the elevations before and after and putting the pipe in. Glenn Gozowski does not have to be involved in doing that. He's not a pipe installer. You're going to issue.
just supervised, just a supervisor.
No, we're going to have Walsh, Jeff Walsh is going to be there.
That's okay. That's the town's consultant.
All right,
So-
emergency order is going to be issued without plan.
So I'll make this really quick. Do
Okay.
you have this document signed that you can submit to me tonight so that you can proceed with this construction?
I don't have that document.
So you
that
will not be
states the
signing
actual
this?
pipe that's going in. It says cement.
I can adjust that and you can initial it. That's the only issue, and then Glenn's name in here. Jeff is our consultant for the town, so that's where we got the,
And that's the agreement
Glenn's.
that was made when the plans were approved by the board, that Jeff Walsh.
Glenn also volunteered to say that he was
No,
going to be
didn't.
there
I would
their
put that
entire
in there.
time.
I would put that in there. That wasn't something.
Okay. So,
But you have Douglas Properties signing this before we even agreed to it.
it's been prepared before January because the date has January 2023 on the top. So I don't know when they signed it, but we need to move forward. And
Yeah,
this
we're
this
moving forward,
document,
yeah.
this document has been circulating for months. So we're in June, July almost. So almost 6 months
So
probably.
how do we incorporate, I mean, we're going to be putting it in according to those plans.
Yeah.
It's not in here. How does that get incorporated in there so it's going to be put in right? This pipe's going in with no plans, according to this document. We do not want to get in trouble with Douglas Properties because we're trespassing on their property to put this in. We want to make sure that that's clarified.
Douglas Properties will assent to replacement since most of the pipe is on their property and its own fee to the middle of the road. So that's what they should have signed it first because if
Right.
most of the pipe, and they did sign it, it's been signed by them.
So how do you change the things that are different in here? Because it's being put in according to the plans that were approved.
Well, I have the signature page, so it would be passed around. And it says January on the top.
So it might have to go back to Douglas Properties for their.
Right, and we can't-
initial on
and-
the amendment.
Right, and an amendment and initialed on the changes. I mean, I do want to move forward, I do want to
We're moving forward. I
move
just
this.
need to know what you need because we.
I need this piece of paper signed, so can you and Bob sign it tonight?
Was that-
Right now.
is that-
How many pages is that?
3.
Is that the, can you sign that one, or you want, she was trying to find the original?
Yeah, if you want to try to find the original,
Let me see what that is.
can pass that to her. Thank you.
Because the pipe's going in according to those plans 100%.
Okay.
All right, I
Yeah,
don't want
so
this to make
It's
any
even,
changes. in
it's
the
even
agreement.
better, yeah, it's even better than the no plan is a plan.
Right, and the stipulation and agreement,
That was,
that identifies the plan that's going to be utilized for the installation.
right,
Alpha
but
and Omega Engineering.
Do you
Group,
have that
2020,
signed copy?
2023.
yes. But we are not using that because this is not the memorandum that was prepared by town council and approved by everyone's council, all the parties' councils. They just signed it again.
We just want to make sure we get this right.
Yes, I do too.
So, because
I mean, even if we have both of these, it's
it's
okay
going
too.
forward, you
Yeah.
know, and and we're doing it according to what you guys agreed upon,
Yep.
you know, and is it Walsh? He's already been notified. He's already sent us.
Jeff Walsh, yes.
Jeff Walsh has already sent us an email back, so we're in contact with him. We're in
Yep,
contact.
I saw that
with-
email.
We'll be in contact with the Department of Public Works, the Police Department, because the road has to be closed for that short period of time. The SOC is going to be in place. Everything's going to happen according to that. So you're just going to change the pipe on here? Glenn doesn't have to be there because he's a wetlands expert. He's not a pipe installer.
Okay, all right.
So how do you want to do that?
I'll change it.
Okay, and once the pipe's in, you're going to get the as-built on the whole property. So
Yep, so that's on the last sentence says as-built.
15 Shore Road with the pipe in there.
Yeah.
All right, those two changes, just take Glenn out of there. Those two changes should be satisfactory, as long as you keep this one here too, so that we know we're going to
We
do
will
it
keep
according to
this.
the plans. Yeah. So that's the only thing you got to change.
Okay. Yep, this is an original.
Mr. Winter, Council Winter, okay with that?
So if that question was directed at me, I'm fine with a practical solution here. May I ask a question through the chair to
Yes.
the Millers? And that would be, are you still working with Attorney Howard Potash?
20 years.
Because, okay. Well, and the reason I ask that is because we've been communicating by telephone and email for months now.
Yeah.
And it's all been,
He hasn't
I mean,
been that
heavily-
healthy. He hasn't been that healthy. He's going for more treatments and stuff, so we think we got this all settled.
okay, I think I understood what you just said. Sorry, the audio broke up a little bit, but I think I understand what you mean.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, I'm absolutely comfortable with a practical solution here. I'm not going to elevate form over substance.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Could you pass that to her? So if you and Bob can initial the changes and then sign.
And Jeff Walsh will be out there whenever they do the work.
Okay.
He's here.
Where is he? Oh, hi Jeff.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, how are you?
Very good, thanks. How are you, Madam Chairman?
Great. Thanks for coming in. Do you have anything to add? Are you available for the time that they are going to do the install?
Yeah, I understand they're
You want to sign?
planning to do the install on Wednesday. I have another commitment, but I haven't been able to get a time out of them, but that's about an hour and a half of my time, so I feel comfortable that I can make myself available to Douglas when need be, because they'll be
Okay.
there a few hours as they cross the road.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, and that's, got all the names here. Ross Lemansky, initial that and initial that. Ross Lemansky's going to be getting a hold of Walsh.
Yeah, and you'll contact Highway to shut down the road, right?
Yeah, oh,
Or,
yeah. Yeah.
Who was it? Was it Highway?
Department of Public Works and the Police
Police.
Department.
Yeah, Highway
And-
Department, Police,
Yeah.
closed for one day, but
If
it'll be a
that- one
couple
day, and
hours.
Then,
Anything else?
no, and then, do you want to be called? I mean, I don't know how because,
Well,
Well, you,
Jeff.
Jeff notified us, I think
Copies?
it's circulated around.
They can have a copy to bring home with them?
yeah, because Dixie's already been notified. I mean, everything's going into place. Unless a hurricane comes up the coast.
Don't say that. That would be just the thing. For
It
the-
could be a tornado for crying out loud.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so
Oklahoma
we'll go
tornado.
forward.
Yes.
We'll just-
Attorney Winter, you satisfied?
I am indeed.
Okay. thank you. Appreciate your help. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Good luck. Thank you, Mrs. Miller. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay. Request for certificate of compliance, 274 U Street. Oh, Jeff, you're all set. Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everyone.
Good night.
Thanks, Steve.
Request for certificate of compliance, 274 U Street. So,
Good luck with it. See you later.
Steve, do you have any photos you want to show us, or?
Which one?
274U.
Oh, just saying.
Margaret, did you want to say anything on this one?
Is that 274?
Yeah, certificate of compliance.
Wasn't she up there?
Oh,
If not, I can.
wow, I didn't know who was here? Is somebody here for?
Hi, this is Victoria Vargas. I'm one of the property owners at 274 U Street. Thanks for reviewing our file tonight. Would you like me to summarize where we're at?
Sure.
So back over the winter, we came to a meeting of the commission where you issued us an order of conditions. At this point now that we're past the spring, we feel that we've met all of the conditions you've outlined. So we're here tonight for you to review our file and let us know if there's anything that's outstanding.
Should we change this?
Okay, thank you very much.
Should we change this to Graves Engineering?
No,
No?
no,
Okay.
they are considered our agent.
Okay.
Okay.
All set.
Coming back here unless you get candy. Well said.
Thanks, Steve. One moment, please. Sorry, we're just shuffling around.
What do you need photos of?
No worries.
Stabilized. It's 274. I remember this one. So the foundation was exactly, looks like exactly as it was supposed to be.
Video's not coming up.
They came back because they expanded.
Yeah, it was the drainage swale. Didn't we require them because it was eroding?
Let's see. Trying to get the video to come up.
So I'm not quite seeing the overlay. So did you have to increase that drainage swale, or everything is as it was approved?
I'm sorry, the drainage
Swale on
there,
the
so
right side?
where? So as I understand it, the order of conditions were we had to move where we had planned to place the shed, which we did. So we increased the area that the shed is on. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, I'm trying to recall the minor modifications to the,
Yeah, sure. I can remind you a little better, perhaps. So when we came to the commission, there was no shed, but we had a plan where we were going to put the shed. There was a rock foundation for the shed, but it wasn't actually down yet. So once we got our order of conditions, we increased we moved the rock bed for the shed forward, so further away from the wetland,
that's
closer to
what it
the road, and then placed the shed down in accordance with the order of conditions. And then the additional bigger factor was we were ordered to plant 6 red maple trees, which of course we had to wait for the spring, and we did that probably about like 6 weeks ago.
Okay, okay, all right.
Which I believe Steve came and took pictures of for you
Yeah,
guys.
I'm trying to bring them up, it's just the screen sharing won't allow the video.
Okay, so is the area stabilized and the trees in good health?
Yeah, the trees are looking great. We
All
were
right, here we
diligently
go.
watering them, and
So
they're looking
it's
really
choppy
good.
because of,
Okay.
so this is the left side, this is the new,
Nice. And no evidence of erosion or
No.
sediment movement?
none at all.
Okay. Board? It's your pleasure. Any questions, comments? Katie Grace?
No, I didn't have any comments on this one.
Okay.
I don't recall what was requested, so I'm not sure. Does it meet the spirit of what we requested?
It does, yeah.
So there was some encroachment. They came here and we requested them to move it and add the plantings.
We didn't ask them to move the fence in.
Not the fence.
just
That was
to add
relocated.
trees.
They cleared, the original plan had the fence, and had the trees. I think they cleared all the trees, like within 20 feet or so, 10 feet, 15 feet, and then moved the fence back, and then replanted everything, so, and they had a shed that they were gonna put up. I think the commission had to move the shed away, far enough away where you're comfortable, and then have erosion control, establish the lawn, and then plant a bunch of plantings along the fence line.
I mean, the video you just showed trees right on the fence line, it seemed like, whereas this as-built plan shows trees, it looks like, several feet away from the fence, not just along the fence. That's why I'm confused.
So the original order of conditions had those plantings at the 25 to prevent encroachment, and then there was encroachment with the shed foundation, stone foundation. So they moved that forward. Existing stone to be redistributed under proposed shed and removed from the 25-foot buffer zone. So they had encroached within the buffer. So they did come back with a request, right? Can't recall, but we had directed them on what to do to remedy it.
Is Margaret here? I think, did
Yes.
Margaret redo the plan, I think? Yeah.
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, this was a notice of intent after the fact, because the Vargases had hired an arborist who went in there and cut down all those trees and said he was allowed to do that. He was in communication with Steve, and none of that was really the case. So they were kind of misled a little, and that's what kind of started this all. They realized that they had moved into that encroachment area where they shouldn't have been, but that was, I don't think, their fault. And so we did the notice of intent after the fact.
Oh, that's why the foundation and septic as-built was September 2021. So this was just the illegal activity, the tree clearing, not the house.
Right, I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. Can you go back to the video? Because I just want to see that there's trees inside the fence. Yeah, I saw a new tree on the right side of the house. See the well? I mean, I'm only seeing anything planted right next to the fence. Not in from the fence like the as-built is showing. I believe that's what this is, the red dots. It says red maples on it.
They're right in front of the other,
They're right at the fence.
the other plantings. Mrs. Vargas?
Yeah, I'm following.
Did
So
you
the-
plant-
the red-
Yep. Did you plan according to the planting schedule, like the recommended planting spacing?
Yes.
So what we're seeing in the video is the red maples are directly in front of the other, I don't know if we did high bush blueberries, probably.
Yep. They're blueberries.
Yep. So,
So they're in between, in front of, like every other bush is where they are.
okay.
And the order of conditions was to plant 6 red maple trees.
So you have 11 trees along the fence line plus the 6?
Correct. They're the blueberry shrubs.
Okay, but they're just different colors.
And they're not just blueberries. I think some of them are blueberries and some of them are, I forget the name of what else they are, but they're in the original plant.
Probably winterberry.
Winterberry, yeah, that's right. Yeah, there should have been 3 different kinds of
Yeah,
plantings.
there are 3 different kinds.
But those are bushes, though. Those are
Yes,
shrubs.
they're bushes. Shrubs, exactly.
Yeah, so they're shrubs, so it just looks like they're kind of tiny. But there's 6 red maple planted in between each one.
See, I thought the intent was the fence was put in inside the 25-foot buffer, and we weren't going to require them to move the fence to outside, further than the 25-foot buffer, but the trees should reduce the yard area in the back, and it doesn't seem to me like the trees that were planted are reducing the yard area at all in the back.
I can't recall, Mark, honestly. I thought the fence, you wanted to plant things for shade and stuff, and then the fence was going to be adequate for the buffer zone moving forward, but
Okay.
And then the tree line is existing there, so I don't think we would require the bushes to be planted within the forest that's behind the fence. So that tree line, that green tree line is the existing tree line.
I understand.
Okay. But you wanted them in the yard more so?
Yeah, I thought they were supposed to reduce the yard in that area, but maybe I'm wrong. I just, looking at the plan.
it's been a long
and
time, I
looking
can't
at-
recall.
and
Yeah.
Looking at where the 25-foot buffer zone is, I would have thought that we would have requested them to protect that 25-foot buffer by planting.
Mm-hmm.
That, moves the maintenance away from the wetland.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, I think they've achieved that. All the plantings are outside the 25, and then the shed is 34 feet. Yeah,
not if they're along the fence, they're not.
those were the bushes. We added, so from, the 6 red maples were added after the fact, the 11/19/22, because of the shed was within the 25, I think.
Right, but they were all planted on the same line as the bushes.
No, they are not on the same line. The bushes are behind the trees, the new trees.
I think the original, the original approval had the fence and the bushes. Then they had taken out too many trees by the arborist that said they had permission, and the shed was in the improper location. So we said, okay, you're going to replace the red maples in addition to moving the shed.
Yes, that's correct.
All right.
So I think the spirit of the approval was to block any creep or encroachment into that 25, which there are additional trees outside the 25 now.
Say so. Okay.
No, I'm also not seeing Mark's trees. I'm also, in the video that we were just shown, I did not see
Do you have a photo?
the red maples, the 5 red maples that are further inside the lawn of the fence.
I think there's 6, and they're a little small. Do you know what caliper red maple you purchased? Probably look
There
like...
are 6, and no, I do not know what caliber they are, but they are small, and we're nurturing them, and they will grow.
Hopefully.
Okay, but I mean, there's 6 on the inside. There's a grand total of 12.
Do you have the file with you?
There are 6 red
Can we
maples
continue this? Can we
closer
get
to
this
the
a little
house.
better clue as to what's going on?
How many red maples are there total planted out there?
There are 6 new red maples in accordance with the order of conditions that are planted in front of the shrubs, which are in front of the fence. So the shrubs were existing in front of the fence, and there are 6 new red maples in front of the shrubs at like approximately every other shrub
Oh, the original
are the
plant?
6. So there's red maple, no red maple, between 2 shrubs, red maple, all the way along.
I think the confusing part is there's a lot of red dots. So you're saying there's only 6 red maples total, and the rest are bushes?
There are only new 6 red maples, and the rest are existing shrubs, closer to the fence on the existing shrubs.
What do you have? Anything else?
That one there, that's the one from the file.
No, that's the as-built.
Let me go get it. She didn't have an hanger.
Okay. And Victoria, did you submit the written statement that it was certifying substantial compliance?
If this is the form that we were asked to fill out that you're referring to, yes, I did submit the form. It's a DEP form. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and you've checked off, if yes, attached a written statement by such a professional certifying substantial compliance with the order of conditions. So there is an additional document from a professional stating that the plan is in substantial compliance with the order of conditions.
I did not submit an extra page, no.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I must have missed that.
That's okay. That's all right.
Can I say, they
Yes.
did ask me, and I just thought because it was such a minor project, they could probably do it without my services.
So this is your fault.
I guess so. Didn't think it would be a big deal. Just trying to save you.
It's tough, yeah, I understand. Well, I do require it if it's checked off.
Yeah.
So that's what, I do look for that. So the letter has not been submitted either. So I said it a million times. I don't want to order a certificate without the substantial compliance letter. Okay. So this was a violation, yard extension. Okay. And the trees are not in the correct location. Victoria?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. So I'm hearing that you need us to to submit the letter, but we're saying now that the trees are not in the correct location.
No, they're not.
And what is the correct location that then wasn't clearly spelled out in the order of conditions?
No, it's on the plan that was approved on, it was the final plan dated July 25th, revised through 11/19/22. So they were supposed to be located at the 50-foot. And I'm not sure why,
Behind the shed.
and two behind the shed, and I'm not sure why the as-built plan does not show the proposed location and the existing location in red. So I'm not, so I think we're gonna have to table this to the next meeting on July 17th.
Okay, I suppose we'll further follow up with the engineer who I'm sitting here trying to think of your name. I'm sorry that I can't remember it. Margaret, yes.
Yes.
We'll follow up with Margaret regarding the letter, and we had also communicated about the plans that we had submitted, and we're under the impression that they were sufficient. So I suppose we'll have to connect further.
Okay, all right, yeah, so you'll
But
be
it was
on,
my understanding that the plans that were submitted were still modifiable, and that we should modify them ourselves, and that, wasn't specified clearly in the order of conditions exactly where the trees needed to be planted, and that it was up to us to decide that.
so
As I
the,
recall, we did ask for clarification on exactly, what kind of trees we should buy, and
well, when you applied,
they should be planted.
when you received the issuance of the order of conditions, it is attached to a plan and a plan date, and it shows the locations that were proposed by your engineer.
You know, they put them a little.
But we'll sort it out.
Okay, that sounds good. I appreciate it. We can talk further offline on this.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
What's the matter? Need more planting?
Yeah, and I need my letter of substantial compliance, and they're supposed to be located here. She was saying that she didn't know.
It's our plan.
So, okay. Just because they submit it to Jen doesn't mean that anything's good. So we're gonna table that to July 17th.
Okay.
Okay, request for certificate of compliance, 42 Chestnut Street. Okay.
I'm here on behalf of Les Stevens, made it tonight.
Okay.
This is for the certificate of compliance, 42 Chestnut Street.
Okay.
I know Les came before the board with a planting scheme. He made some minor modifications to the plan. The house is smaller than the original design. And this here is the septic as-built. Well, you can see we're pretty much right in with where we're supposed to be. And then we did pick up his plantings, the trees he planted on this plan. We had a plan when we did the septic as-built.
Okay, and the stone wall, was that proposed?
I had a fence. I believe in the original...
Split rail?
Rail fence, and I believe Les came before the board there and proposed to make that change and include additional plantings.
Okay. Okay. No pictures.
I got pictures.
Okay.
This is the house here.
So the house is smaller. There was a attached garage that he took off.
Is that pea stone?
It might be wood chips.
Oh, or wood chips, I can't tell.
Has the silt fence already been removed?
I told him to remove it when I took the picture on Saturday. He was aware of it. What's
Or
that?
is that pea stone or wood chips?
Wood chips.
Okay. I was gonna say.
Do wood
Fancy.
chips constitute a, a surface, stabilized surface?
I think so. Wood chips?
They float.
Oh.
Well, actually, they use wood chips quite a bit for erosion.
South Street. They had those mounds.
I never had
They
that
did those
question before,
berms.
but, I mean,
I know a lot of projects we've used it to stabilize embankments.
Well, they are allowed to mow, but if you're looking at the stabilization and lack of erosion on the site for the issuance of the certificate, I think that that would satisfy that. They're not moving around at the moment.
So it looks like to me like the grading was extended to enable and to keep that fill in place. They added the rock wall behind so that they could create a little bit of a yard area at the back of the house behind the driveway. But that had not been part of the original plan for that area. It doesn't look like to me. So their area of work is the same, but the work that they did is more extensive behind the house.
Well, I think, like I said, I'm pretty sure Les came in with some of these changes and like implementing the split rail fence and putting in the shrubbery and things like that. I believe he brought that up at one of the meetings informally.
Okay.
And we look at square footage, not cubic feet of difference, so if you're within the limit of approved disturbance. Steve, any comments?
no, I thought the site looked pretty well.
Okay. Katie Grace?
Yeah, no, the city looks stabilized. And I appreciate the red lines here.
Mike? Jim? Mark, any additional comments? I will entertain, you have your letter also. Thank you very much. Page missing, but that's all right. Do you have the first page of the 8A? Because it's the first page and then this second.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
I had looked that information up for, is that Les's?
Yeah, so the front page is this, and then it was double-sided with just the second page of the 8A.
Okay, were you looking for the first page
Yes.
of 8A? I might have it with me.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 42 Chestnut Street.
So moved.
Motion made by Mark, Made by Mark. Seconded by
Second.
Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
Mark Mungem, aye.
Katie Grace?
Sorry.
KG Dudley, aye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. If you could just send that along.
I'll email to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
I don't have it.
Okay. Is that approved?
Yes, issued. Okay, 7A, modification discussion, 92 Martin Road, David Briggs. Come on up to the chopping block.
Okay, so this is several months ago.
And name and address, please. I didn't realize you
Margaret
were.
Bacon, Civil Site Engineering. David Briggs, he's
Okay.
the potential new owner of this property. But
Okay.
This was the original design that was approved last summer, I think, actually, on 92 Martin Road. David's in the process of purchasing this process and property, and he has a different house design than what was proposed here. So what he would like to do, he has a larger house, but he's also moved it up closer to the road. So I kind of, just for your, to help you, orient yourselves, this yellow box was the original house design, okay? Here's his new house design. He'd like to have an in-law apartment, but it's pretty much outside, pretty much the house is all outside the buffer zone. Here's the 100-foot buffer zone. So we're able to do that, and then we're also able to move the septic system farther up too. So everything's further away from the wetland. So this is a minor change, I think an improvement over the original design, so.
Okay, so the limit and erosion controls are going to remain the same. Proposed sheds remaining the same, well location.
The erosion control is already installed.
Okay.
Then the lot was cleared. Then Mr. Briggs came along and, like I said, it's changed a few things. So this is already installed, but the well is no longer going to be way up here near the 25-foot buffer zone. We're able to move it over here much closer to the house and still stay 100 feet away from the wetland, because we moved, or the septic, because we moved that up.
Okay. The erosion control is already existing for that well? Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
It's already there.
Okay, all right, you're just gonna let it vegetate over there. Okay, board, any comments, questions? Katie Grace?
No comments.
We're only going with the 20 by 12 deck?
12 at the most out.
Yeah.
It may come over this way.
Okay, all right, that's outside our jurisdiction. Okay, Steve, any comments?
No.
I'll entertain a motion to consider the changes shown on plan dated June 13th, 2023 as a minor modification to the order of conditions 1051.
So moved.
Motion made by Mike.
Second.
Second by Mark. All those in favor?
Aye. Mike Rocco, aye.
Yep.
Jim Bourne, aye. Mark Mungem, aye.
KG Dudley, aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Good luck.
So we just work under the existing order of conditions.
Yep, so this plan, so Steve has all the plan copies,
Yeah,
will be swapped out. Yeah.
okay. And one other thing, 58 Cottage Colony. So since I put the wrong address, that's going to get continued. So I don't have to hang around. for
No, you do
it's
not.
gonna get continued. Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah, so you'll have to re-advertise, and re-notify,
When's the next,
July 17th.
okay,
Yeah,
very good, thank you.
yeah, you can do certificate of mailings, you know that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Proceed.
What?
I'm just worried.
What are you worried about?
Just worried that this should be consulted.
No, agent is an agent for the town. That's illegal. It's not you. It's not the conservation agent.
Could maybe the board make a vote saying they're gonna have Graves as the agent for it?
Why? It's agent.
Right, just so it's on
Graves
record.
is its agent.
Well, I think there's a difference.
There isn't. It doesn't say conservation agent.
Make that statement.
You're not making it easy for me tonight.
What's that? Okay.
Okay, board, let's go back to, Katie Grace, are you with us still? Okay.
A little bit.
Okay, so just a matter of clarification on the memorandum of agreement for 115 Shore Road. When it mentions the Conservation Commission and/or its agents, it's going to refer to Graves Engineering, Jeff Walsh. So I'd like to have that be a motion, that the commission have that understanding in that memorandum, that wherever it says the word agent for the commission, it's going to be Graves Engineering and/or Jeff Walsh.
So moved.
Motion made by Mark,
Second.
second by Mike. All those in favor?
Mike Greco, aye.
Jim Thorne, aye. Mark Mungem, aye.
KG Dudley, aye.
Okay, thank you very much. You're welcome. Okay. Request for extension, Douglas Renewables LLC, 170 West Street. So we have,
Can we have Kuchar email or notify the parties about what we just voted on?
yes,
Sure. That's a good idea.
Please.
yep, and our town council.
Yes.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, so the request is made to extend the permit for 1 year. Did we prepare that for 1 year, Steve?
I think it's 3 years.
Do we want, so they've requested for a 1 year
Is it 1 year?
extension.
I can't remember what I put on there.
You didn't put anything. The maximum is 3 years, so.
Or maybe that's,
Board, what's your pleasure? They're asking for 1. Do you want to give them 1 or do you want to give them 3 years?
What they're asking for.
Okay, anyone else have an opinion? No, no. Anyone here? Jeff? No.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I think they still just have a little bit of cleanup to do and some of those additional mitigation plantings to complete. So it's kind of up to the commission's discretion.
Okay, all right, I'll entertain a motion to grant the extension for 1 year as requested by the applicant.
So moved.
Motion made by Mark,
Jim.
seconded by Jim. All those in favor?
Aye. Mike Greco, aye.
Jim Thorne, aye. Mark Mungem, aye.
KG Dudley, aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, request for extension 130 Southeast Main Street.
Yep, hello.
Hello, name and address, please?
I'm sorry, 130 Southeast Main Street.
Yes. And a name?
Name? Yep, it's David and Chandra Ferraro.
Okay, we see your request. And how many years were you requesting for a continuance, for an extension?
We didn't know we had to request it. We'd take the max if that's possible.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to grant a 3-year extension on the order of conditions for 130 Southeast Main Street.
So moved.
Motion made by Mike. Second? Do I hear a second?
What's the project? I'm sorry.
130 Southeast Main Street. It's a house, single-family house.
single-family house, it's the one where, when you first started, where it had a kind of a shared driveway, and it had some plantings down the middle. And this
Yes.
This went off to the left.
Yes.
Is it Heaney?
What?
Is it Heaney?
No.
Oh, okay. That was
No,
on-
it was the guy that actually lived in the house to the right,
Okay.
David LaRue.
And it has the work started?
Had the driveway started that went up into the...
To access.
Up into the back of the property. And then they just ended it. And so when the guy in the right came in to get a certificate of compliance on his, sorry, I don't have the photos, because it cuts through his property a little bit, and then there was some plantings that had to be done in the middle, the commission had him come back and fix the stuff in the shared area of the driveway to sign off on his. I think he sold the property on the left. The driveway's up there and it just ends, right? I don't think there's any work. The land's cleared, but no work of the house, nothing's been constructed.
Correct. Nothing's been done except for having the land cleared, yes.
Second.
Motion seconded by Mark. All those in favor?
Mike Greco, aye.
Jim Farr, aye. Mark Mangum, aye.
KG Dudley, aye.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks, you too. Okay, new business. 7 PM, it's now 8:55. Notice of intent 58 Cottage Colony. We will have to table that to the July 17th meeting. It was advertised as 53 Cottage Colony. 7 PM, notice of intent, public hearing, 125 Ledgestone Road, now also 8:55. Notice of intent, they also will need to be on the July 17th due to advertising issues. Next up.
You might, I know the last one is, hang on one second, guys. You might want to take 12 first. It should be pretty quick because I think it should be, he asked for a request for continuance. But he is here tonight, so I'm not sure if he wants to speak on it.
Yep. Hey there. This is Mitch with Goddard Consulting. I sent a letter for the 45 Martin Road request for determination of applicability in today. I read over Art Allen's memo. Basically said he believes that documentation up to date for the stream having no flow characteristics would be needed for the commission to make a determination, which is what you guys were saying last time. So we're fully aware that we're going to need to provide that new documentation. So I was going to request that we continue these public meetings until your September meeting to allow, the summer months to pass, and we can perhaps document the stream with no flow conditions if that is to happen. I just wanted to, attend tonight just to go over that and see if you guys would be willing to grant that continuance to the September meeting.
Okay. Right now, I'd like to open the public meeting, continue request for determination of applicability, 45 Martin Road. It's 8:57 PM. And board, I would suggest that we require the applicant re-notify and re-advertise for the September 18th, 2023 meeting if we are to continue that hearing. Is the applicant in agreement with that?
Fine with me.
Okay. So, board?
Yep, I would agree with that.
Okay, all right. So I will entertain a motion to continue the public meeting to September 18th, 2023, with the condition of re-notifying and re-advertising for that meeting date at 7 PM.
So moved.
September.
Motion made by Mark,
Second.
second by Mike. All those in favor? Mike?
Mike Greco, aye.
Jim Farr, aye. Mark Mangum, aye.
KG Dudley, aye.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll see you in the fall.
To September.
All right. See you this fall. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
September what?
18th, 7 PM. Okay, old business, 7 PM, it's 8:58, public hearing continued, notice of intent, Legacy Circle, Site Access Drive, Peter Michael Business Park. All right, come
Last
on
but
down.
certainly not least.
Oh, no.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Hello, good evening. Okay, you take it away.
For the record, Mike Dryden, Senior Project Manager, Allen Engineering.
As you will recall, at the last meeting, we had not yet received final correspondence from Graves. We received it the very next day, and he has signed off on everything, so I believe that that box is checked. We did discuss a draft order of conditions that we would be reviewing this evening. Is that still the case through the chair? Great. The last item was there was a discussion about a cost estimate so that we could determine an appropriate bond amount. And we did want to spend a little bit of time. Tom McIntyre is here this evening. So we did want to kind of have a discussion and work through that with the commission. But is there other business that we need to take care of first? Should we go through the, what is your pleasure, Madam Chair?
So I think we should have a discussion about the bond requirement. There is no replication. It's a very, I mean, when are you thinking you're going to be completing the work?
As soon as the site conditions allow the
Like
stream
August.
channel, if it were, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, if the stream runs dry, in the next month, I think they're willing to break ground. There's some lead time on the culvert itself, but there's certainly site work to be done. So the goal is to get the work underway as soon as possible.
Okay. So, board, I would think about waiving the requirement for the bond. I mean, it's going to be completed in accordance to the plan.
Right.
And it's going to be completed in a timely manner. There's really no need to keep, it's almost like just a culvert install. It's not, the bonding is really for replication and stream crossing.
We certainly agree with that approach.
So it's a little bit different than our typical stream crossing procedures.
Right, but it involves the crossing of a sensitive area that's under our jurisdiction, so I'm not sure I understand why we wouldn't want to be protective of that by requiring a bond if something should happen during the construction.
I'm just throwing it out there. Steve?
Yeah, I mean, typically bonds, we haven't issued ones in a while because we haven't had too many crossings, but we usually get them for large subdivisions. We get them for projects where they're going to sell them. It's unknown. They go on for years, and then they cross, and they never complete the work. And usually on the small ones, because of replication, we usually get two separate ones, one for the replication, one for the bond, and once it's done, they can come in and just ask for a partial certificate just on the crossing and get the money back, so it's not upheld. But given that it's not a huge area, it's not a huge subdivision, I don't, if this project, they were going to do, if they were going to do a lot of the work and then the bonding was like a year from now, or the crossing was a year from now, I think they have to do the crossing right away. So procedurally, the commission certainly can get the money, go through all that paperwork, and have them come back and release it within 3-4 months. But if the intention is they're doing it right away, the as-built plans, the bonding, I don't think would cover, the as-built plans would cover if they did it incorrectly or incorrectly. I don't think the bonding's going to look at if they're doing it correctly, just if they don't do it.
Yeah, so if the town would have to
Hire
do the
someone.
activity to hire someone, that's what the bond, to finish the work.
But
True.
you certainly can,
True,
you
and we
certainly,
don't really
you
care if they
could,
don't.
yeah, you certainly could get, ask.
Being a private site, sure.
I mean, what we do care if the site is left in a condition that continues to erode, say, or
Right.
then we would want it finished.
Well,
Then we wouldn't have anything.
The bonding would just be for the culvert itself, or the crossing, and everything else is not covered by the bond. That's under the
So
order.
repair of the banks.
That would be under the order.
So it'd be like a violation or enforcement order to repair the bank.
True.
We would never call the bond on, we probably couldn't call the bond on any work that hasn't been completed because the permit is valid for the time period. I think with, with our,
Either way is fine. It's just a
I
mechanism.
mean, I don't want to encumber the developer for something that's only going to take two months to do.
Well,
right?
correct,
And that's
right.
like,
And it's
why?
thousands of dollars, tens of thousands probably?
No,
Oh, the overall project.
Or the bonding.
it's probably 10%.
It depends on what you would calculate it on, and what I think I just heard was the culvert itself. That's only a small fraction of the project from a cost standpoint. But and again, this is a private site, obviously. It's unlike a subdivision that you would have to come in as the town and complete the work. In this case, I think it was already said, if the work were abandoned, there's really nothing to complete. There's no homes on the other side of the crossing in a typical subdivision scenario.
I mean, I could just throw out maybe a compromise would be that typically an as-built, you could have them do an as-built right away on the crossing before they do a lot of any of the other work. And maybe submit that to make sure it's satisfied.
The approved plan.
What's that?
To make sure it satisfies the approved plan
With the
before they move
approved
forward.
plan, because, the replication, they might not come back for a certificate of compliance for years. And then we don't know if the culvert was done correctly. So if they're,
we would certainly want them to get their certificate of compliance before they did anything else beyond the bridge or beyond.
Well, whatever activity is within that order, they could get the compliance for. But, so the scope of the order is, or the scope of the notice of intent is only this proposed work, anyway.
but that's, you're looking at coming off the circle, the roadway, side, detention basins.
Correct.
When you plan on doing the culvert, you might defer that because if the conditions are correct, you're going to do the culvert while the conditions are correct.
Yeah, there might be some site work that's done on the near side of the crossing.
What I'm saying, instead of bonding it, if you have the opportunity to do the culvert because it's dry, you do that, and then before you do all the other work associated with the order of conditions, you come back with an as-built plan to show the commission that it was done according to what was approved instead of bonding.
That would be fine.
I don't know if that would work.
I think, the minimum amount of time, so we would require the as-built once the work's complete. You're going to be keeping Steve in the loop also on when you're starting,
Absolutely.
construction sequence-wise.
Either one.
It is a small project, and it's going to happen fairly quickly, so if it is the pleasure of the commission for us to do an interim as-built, we can certainly do that. In this case, you're going to see the second half of that as-built.
Yeah,
in
culvert
short
only.
order.
Yeah, culvert only. Board? Does that agree with Katie Grace? So we're discussing waiving the bond requirement for the crossing and conditioning the issuance of the order of conditions with the requirement of an as-built plan once the crossing is complete.
No, I don't have an issue. I think you solved the problem. I was confused as to what problem we were trying to solve. But if it's the issue.
It's getting late, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, board. Sorry, you'll have to put, yeah, there you go. I don't know why she's echoing. I have no idea. Okay, so anyone in the audience have questions or concerns regarding this hearing? Speak now.
I don't know if he's, I added some of the special conditions that we talked about. I don't, if they're in the binder about the dewatering.
Yes. Yeah, we had added notes as
And then there was a
requested.
note about the guardrail that you came up with.
Yes, thank you. I was going to mention that.
That's on the 1A, 1B, it's right up in the front. Everything else is standard order of conditions.
Okay.
Typically see in the specials.
Through the chair, when would that order be executed?
I didn't close the public hearing.
No, the reason I asked is if we could have a chance to just review those special conditions. I certainly would trust
Why?
that Steve.
We're going to review them right now.
Perfect. That's really what I was driving
There's
at.
2 copies if you want.
Yeah.
That's all I was driving at.
Can you pass that to him, please? Thank you.
I don't want to be here any longer than you do either, trust me.
Okay. So special order of conditions items, the plan date 3/2023, final revised date 5/25/23, drainage analysis for stream crossing off of Legacy Circle dated 3/2023, peer review report from Graves Engineering dated 5/18, and the 6/6 confirming everything was addressed. Prior to the commencement of any work associated with this order of conditions, the 1B was not added?
What's that?
Must be at the end. I don't see 1A, 1B.
It's right in the 1 of 7.
Because the auto numbering is not correct on this anymore.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
1C.
Okay. A bond shall be posted for the construction of wetland crossing prior to commencement of any activity. Cost estimate. So, board, are we in agreement to strike the bond requirement? Yes? Yes? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll strike 1C. If guardrails are required, they shall be installed on top of the retaining walls or inside the retaining walls adjacent to the travel way. No portion of the guardrail system shall result in additional wetland impacts beyond that shown on the approved plans. And that was it, right?
Yeah.
So the document list and...
And I think there's some, did I have anything in dewatering in the front? If not, then it's somewhere in the,
Yeah, I have another page here. This continues on. Actually, several pages. Are
yeah,
those-
standard, you can go through it, but
It's under, it says special order of conditions, and then it goes.
Yeah.
So these are all the special conditions?
yeah, those are all pretty standard special as well.
Okay. I think of standard conditions as standard conditions versus special conditions, but that's okay.
Well, typical.
Yeah. 48 hours of advance notice. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the ones that you mentioned.
What was the dewatering?
Work should be left in the state. These look like boilerplate. I knew it.
I'm not seeing the dewatering.
I didn't put it in there.
I'm not seeing it yet.
Not like a new
Still.
one.
Oh, it's the last one.
Oh. Oh.
Sorry.
Super tiny print. Okay, dewatering activities shall be conducted as shown on the approved plan, shall be monitored daily to ensure that sediment-laden water is appropriately settled prior to discharge toward the wetland resource areas. No discharge of water is allowed directly into an area subject to jurisdiction of the Wetlands Protection Act. If emergency dewatering requirements arise, the applicant shall submit a contingency plan to the commission for approval, which provides for the pumped water to be contained in a settling basin to reduce turbidity prior to discharge into a resource area. Sedimentation basin shall be constructed at location as shown on the plans to entrap any soils that may be eroded during construction. You didn't put the location, but
It's a little different than what we had proposed, but if that's the pleasure of the commission, that's fine. We were going to use filter bags up gradient rather than actual, a
Did you
secondary.
give me
basin.
wording on that?
I did.
I can change that if the commission doesn't.
I would just suggest that this amount of work is probably more intrusive to build, to actually excavate a secondary basin.
I agree.
okay, so what was your suggestion?
So if you're, I
Reduce
believe,
filter bags.
yeah, I put a note on the detail sheet of the plan set. We propose to use filter bags up gradient of the dewatering operation in terms of, parallel or perpendicular to the stream, and then also down gradient to make sure that any water from the filter bag enters the natural stream channel and not back through the construction.
Filter bags are proposed up gradient.
Up gradient from the bank and down gradient from the stream, from the point of work at the stream. Would you like me to get the plan set and read that note?
Sure.
Point.
Any issues with any of the other ones?
No, like you said, I scanned them quickly. They all seem like your standard conditions. If dewatering is necessary during construction, water shall be pumped from excavated trenches to an area of a minimum 20 feet up gradient of the stream and 20 feet down gradient from the excavation, comma, through a dewatering silt filter bag and overland through a secondary row of sediment control barrier.
Okay.
Filter bags shall be sized to handle a minimum of 2 times the anticipated flow in gallons per minute. That's the sort of a standard nomenclature that we use, or language that we use.
Okay, that's good. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Motion made by Mark,
Second.
second by Mike. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Mark Mangum, aye.
Katie Dudley, aye.
You have a headset on now? Hopefully you're coming to us from space, not...
Did I fix the audio?
Kinda, yeah. Yeah, no echo.
Okay.
At the end of the meeting.
Okay, board.
Which public hearing was that?
I will entertain a motion to issue the order of conditions for off Legacy Circle with the special conditions of use of filter bags if dewatering is necessary, the waiver of a bond requirement for the stream crossing, and if the guardrails are required, they shall be installed on the top of the retaining wall or inside the retaining walls.
So moved.
Motion made by Mark,
Second.
second by Mike. All those in favor?
Mike Greco, aye.
Jim Farn, aye.
Mark Mangum, aye.
Katie Dudley, aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sign that
Thanks for your
tonight.
time.
Do you want me to modify that so take out the bonding completely?
Yes,
And then I'll reword the dewatering.
yes.
Excellent. We appreciate that very much.
Send it to you. If you don't like it, let us know.
You don't
Excellent.
have a choice, so you gotta like it.
I will like it.
Okay, good.
Thanks for
That's
your
what I
time.
like to hear. Yeah.
We can all go
Good
home
luck. Yes. Anything else, Steve?
That's it.
Okay, and entertain a motion.
Just before we adjourn,
Yes?
Joe Fitzpatrick hasn't been with us for like 3 months. Has anybody been in contact with him to see if he's going to continue with the Conservation Commission or not?
I have. I could reach out, have Jen reach out.
Yeah.
Choose.
Yeah, we'll see what he's up to. But we welcome our newest member that is present. Thank you for your time. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Mike.
Second the motion.
Okay, second by Jim. All those in favor?
Mike Greco, aye.
Jim Farn, aye.
Mark Mangum, aye.
Space Cadet.
Katie Dudley, aye.
Okay, signing off.
So